Nobody talks about this part. The fear, the doubt, the sleepless nights. I remember those nights, staring at a screen, pretending I understood what I was doing. People think changing your life starts with excitement. It doesn't. It starts with fear. Let me tell you a story. That evening, I went home with these thoughts. The same question kept repeating in my mind. Wanting more, was that really a risk? I want to invest more money, but that means less safety for a while. Less safety? Yes, less savings, more risk. Michael, we have a child? We can't be reckless, I know. I'm not trying to be reckless. I just don't want to stay stuck forever. I'm just scared. I'm scared too. I understand you. But in that moment, I realized something. There wasn't fear in Olivia's voice. There was responsibility. But if we keep going like this, nothing will change. Nobody tells you this when you're young. Responsibility makes risk feel like a crime. But sometimes not taking a risk is the biggest risk of all. Life seemed very committed to that uncomfortable middle part. Tom did everything right. Stable job, stable salary, stable life. But 10 years later, nothing had changed. He was not in danger, but he was not free either. That was the strange thing about safe lives. They rarely fall apart dramatically. They just repeat themselves very politely. For a long time I confused nothing is collapsing with everything is fine. Those are not the same thing. The dangerous part is that it looks safe because you don't notice it. You just repeat the same life. The next day, I called Warren. I needed to talk to him. That evening, we met at the park, our usual place. He looked calm. I wasn't. I'm afraid of losing money, I told him. Of course you are, he said. Only fools are not afraid. Then how do people take risks? Smart people don't take crazy risks, he said. They take calculated risks. Small risks. Risks they can survive. Then he looked at me and paused. Risk, he said, is like driving on a foggy road. You can't see very far ahead, but that is not a reason to stop moving. Then he added, a safe life is like a soft pillow. It's comfortable, but it slowly puts you to sleep. Let me tell you the real risk, he said, waking up 20 years later and realizing you lived the same year 20 times. Safe is not always safe. Sometimes safe is just a slow death. I wanted something more comforting, something softer, but instead he made safe sound suspicious. That was his gift. He could take an ordinary word and return it to you like a warning label. I was still afraid, but I understood something. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is making a decision while you are still afraid. That night, I didn't become rich, but I became different. And to be honest, the investment itself was not very impressive. It was small, quiet, almost embarrassingly normal. But small decisions have a way of becoming very important later. Even when they look harmless at the beginning, people think risk is losing money. No, the real risk is losing years. The real risk is living a life where nothing changes. The real risk is being 60 years old and still waiting for life to begin. And the worst part is that you don't even notice it until it's too late. You don't have to risk everything, but you must risk something, or life will never change. That night, I couldn't sleep. Warren's words kept echoing in my mind over and over again. waking up 20 years later and realizing you lived the same year 20 times. I didn't know why that sentence affected me so deeply. Maybe because deep down, I knew that was exactly what I was afraid of. The house was quiet. Olivia and Leo were asleep. I walked into the kitchen, poured myself some coffee flambant, and opened my laptop. I kept telling myself I'm doing research, but honestly, I think I was trying to understand my own life. And that night, I came across a concept psychologists had been talking about for years: analysis paralysis, which basically means thinking about something so much that you become unable to take action anymore. The brain stops focusing on progress and starts focusing on avoiding mistakes. And suddenly, a lot of things in my life started making sense. Because when I was younger, I used to think the reason people failed was because they lacked knowledge. But the modern world had a different problem. Today, people are drowning in information, and still they can't move. And the strange thing is, these people usually aren't lazy people. Quite the opposite. Most of them are intelligent, careful, responsible people. But sometimes that's exactly why they get stuck. Because the human brain doesn't like uncertainty. It interprets uncertainty as danger. So instead of taking action, it starts searching for certainty. And then people begin spending their lives preparing. Some people spend months researching business ideas, buying courses, designing logos, watching videos, making plans. But they never actually start, because in reality, they're not searching for knowledge. They're searching for certainty. And one of the most uncomfortable things I realized that night was this: preparation can feel like progress, even when nothing is actually changing. I started seeing examples of this everywhere, especially in modern life. For example, in the fitness world, some people spend weeks researching how to get in shape. They watch workout videos, research supplements, compare programs, buy expensive gym clothes, but they never consistently go to the gym because researching fitness feels safer than actually trying to change. And I saw the same thing in business. Some people have been planning to start a company for years. They know everything about entrepreneurship, marketing, advertising, AI tools, branding, but they still don't even have a single customer because every month they find something new they need to learn first. And from the outside, they look productive. But moving and preparing are not the same thing. Some people spend their entire lives preparing for a life they never actually live. That thought truly shook me, because I realized I had been doing the exact same thing with money for years. I kept telling myself, I just need a little more information. But deep down, I wasn't searching for information. I was searching for certainty. And the truth is, life doesn't give certainty. It gives probability. That night, I realized something else too. Modern people aren't frozen because of a lack of information. They're frozen because of too much information. Too many options, too many ideas, too many experts, too many comparisons. And after a certain point, instead of moving, we start thinking, because thinking feels safe. But action creates consequences, and consequences carry the possibility of failure. That's why some people stay in the exact same place for years. Their lives don't dramatically fall apart, but they don't change either. And I think that was the first night I truly understood what Warren meant. The real danger wasn't losing money. The real danger was losing decades. Because analysis paralysis doesn't destroy your life all at once. It simply steals your momentum slowly. While you keep saying, "I'll start soon," years pass, and sometimes people realize something far too late. The perfect moment is never going to come. Feeling fully ready is never going to completely happen. Most people act first. Confidence comes later. That was the complete opposite of everything I believed when I was younger. I always thought one day I would feel fearless, and then I would take action. But life taught me the opposite. Action creates confidence. That night, sitting alone in the kitchen, I remember feeling a little angry at myself because I realized how many years I had lost waiting to feel ready. And suddenly, the idea that my entire life could quietly pass me by like this terrified me. Researching, preparing, waiting to feel fearless. But life wasn't waiting for me. That was the uncomfortable truth. Even when a person doesn't move, time keeps moving. And maybe that's why small actions matter so much. Because action creates momentum. Small actions, small risks, small uncomfortable decisions. Those are the things that change a person. That night, I didn't suddenly become fearless, but something small changed. For the first time in my life, I stopped worshiping certainty, and I started respecting action, because life rarely rewards people who wait forever. The people it usually rewards are the ones who move while they're still afraid. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next episode. Goodbye.